Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Commiseration. This is Kay Steinsapir. I'm so excited to be with you all. It's been a minute. I've been just in the weeds, I feel like. I'm sure many of you can relate to just feeling like you don't even have a spare minute in the day. That's kind of how my life has been lately. Um, so I'm excited to kind of have a little breather here. John took the kids to the dentist. We're in the process of we had to start over with like everything. New dentist's office, new doctor's offices because our stuff all burned in the Palisades. So it's just wild when you have to completely you don't imagine what it's like until it happens to you that you have to kind of just completely start over. And I mean, for us, we at least still have a standing house, but a lot of the Palisades and Altadena residents don't. So it's a long haul. My sister Michelle just left. She was visiting from Fresno, and helping me to get our new Molly Steinsapir Foundation offices set up. So I'm super excited about that and to share with you all kind of what we have in the works for the foundation. I've been, obviously, as you all know, just so concerned and worried and anxious and angry and all the things about our current political scene. Um, I asked Michelle, I said, "Oh, what are like our, everybody in Fresno, what are people there feeling about the new Trump administration?" Fresno's a lot more is more red than the rest of California. It's agricultural, and for example, I used to work for Dianne Feinstein's office. I worked first in her district office in Fresno, and then moved to San Francisco to work in that office. And it was like working in two different countries. Like my job was to take calls and stuff from constituents. And I mean, the issues, the questions, the comments, like couldn't have been more different. So I asked Shell, like, hey, what's the vibe in Fresno? How are people feeling? And what she said, she said, I think people just aren't even, they're not even paying attention. They're not even talking about it or even aware. And that, wow, I know that that's the case for a lot of people and they've just sort of tuned out. And in many ways, I think that's kind of how we ended up where we are. But that is hard for me to understand and makes me worried, that we're just kind of passively sitting here while we have a president, and whether you support his policies or not, the way he is conducting this second term is just so concerning from the perspective of what's allowed under our Constitution, right? And what kind of country are we as America? Like, are we a place that just snatches people off the street and throws them in detention centers in other states and doesn't give them access to lawyers and all of that? I mean, we can't be that, right? I don't think any of us want to be that. And I wonder, I'm so curious to know, for like people who voted for Trump, is it really what they wanted? Did they really want a president who was going to come and like start fighting with Canada, like our greatest ally, for no reason at all? No reason. JD Vance going off to Greenland and clearly, the president wants to take Greenland. You can't just go into a sovereign place and just be like, hey, this is ours now. Like, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. And I really think the fact that not enough people, have learned the basics about how our system is supposed to work. And I'm not saying that as an insult or, being judgmental about it, but like, I remember in my high school government class as a senior, like literally no teaching was going on. Like I studied myself in the back. I took the AP government exam. My school didn't offer that, and I took it myself. And so I studied for that. But like literally no learning was ever taking place in that classroom or any pretense of learning. Like it was just a goof off time and nobody cared and the teacher didn't care. So it's like, I think and that was, my high school reunion's coming up, you guys. It's 30 years this year. I cannot believe it. So that was 30 years ago. And I think the quality of our education has only declined, And so I think a big part of the problem here is that not enough people really understand how dangerous and alarming the power grab by the executive branch is, right? So you've got three branches, and they should be co-equal branches. But Congress has, and the Republicans control all three essentially. But Congress has just capitulated to Trump. They're not even passing laws as they should. Like if he has certain things that he wants to do, spending he wants to have put in place or cut, or policies implemented, like that should all be going through Congress, not these, quote unquote executive orders that he's issuing willy nilly, like a dictator, essentially, like an autocrat. And I don't know where this goes, but it cannot be anywhere good. It's for me just a constant source of anxiety. I'm just so worried about what else they're going to do and who's going to stop them. Right now, it's only the courts are sort of the only thing standing in the breach, and the Republicans have made it clear that they are interested in trying to dismantle the power of the courts. Even, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, saying that maybe we need to defund the federal courts, which is just fucking batshit. Like, this stuff is just the stuff out of a horror nightmare story. And maybe, it was that Democrats had their hair on fire for many years and were screaming about a constitutional crisis and our democracy being in peril and all of that. And I was one of them. So, I fully own that. But like, maybe because it didn't happen as quickly as we thought it might, it's taken time for him to get back in there. And now he's just basically, rolling out that Project 2025. It's like, nobody's listening, or not enough people are listening, when we say, hey, this is really, really a fucking emergency. And it doesn't matter what your politics are. Even if you love everything that Trump is doing, this is just not how it's done. And when you operate like this, you set a precedent. So, next time when people you don't like are in office, I wonder how you'll feel about, the idea that people can just be picked up for disagreeing. As you know, I'm certainly no fan of like Hamas supporters, and I've said I don't think Mahmoud Khalil should have been idolized and turned into some kind of folk hero of the left. But I, of course, have said and maintained, like, yeah, we need to have due process for everybody. We can't become a country that doesn't follow the rule of law. And if we become that country that doesn't follow the rule of law, it will ultimately come back to hurt everyone, regardless of whether they support the current administration or not. So, it's all quite overwhelming. I think a lot of us, myself included, just feel like, well, what can we do? We did everything. I mean, for me, it's like I needed to feel like I did everything in my power to prevent this second term, and I did. Like, I made a ton of calls. I knocked doors. I did everything I could to prevent this, because I didn't want to live with that feeling of like I could have done more. But I do struggle with like, what can I do now? Other than talking about it here with you, sharing online, amplifying the voices that I think are making important points, contacting my elected representatives, but I kind of already know where they are on these issues. So it does feel like we're sort of like sitting ducks in a way. I am very focused on, okay, what can I control and what is out of my control, right? And so I am focused on how do I make a difference, a positive difference, and do good work in my own community. And that does help to kind of have a sense of agency. And like I said, we're setting up the Molly Steinsapir Foundation offices, which is so exciting. We are going to have space for uh, currently the legal aid clinic at Pepperdine University is operating out of a church basement, and we will offer them space to be able to provide pro bono legal services to residents of the Palisades and Altadena. I really want to bring both communities together. I don't think that's been done nearly enough yet. So I'm excited. The location of the office is very central between, both areas. And we'll have space. We're going to have a kids' room set up so that when adults come there for all the things that we're going to be doing, that the kids have their own space that's fun, where they can, play and read, and the adults don't have to worry about them while they're taking care of business. We also have received a ton of donations that folks want to get into the hands of fire victims, but it's hard. Like I said, it's hard having storage and distribution and all of that. So we are setting up, like, one of the offices will just be like a place where Altadena and Palisades folks can just come at their convenience and pick up new clothing, new personal care items, all the stuff that we have available. And I hope other people who want to donate will see what we're doing, and as our stuff gets taken by the people who need it, that they will want to donate and replenish our shelves. And then we have a big room that we'll use. Lots of people want to do things like art classes and cooking classes and sound baths and meditation and all sorts of things, healing workshops, but they don't know where to do them. So we'll have a wonderful space to be able to bring the community together and do a lot of these things, bring in experts who can talk to issues surrounding insurance and all the challenges, rebuilding challenges and everything that we're facing. So that is what kind of keeps me somewhat positive, is focusing on what I can do in my own community and trying to be of service in the rebuilding. We did one reason why I've been offline is because this group contacted me about doing a mural in the Palisades called the Goodness Tour. And they knew me because World Central Kitchen works with our foundation at our community room. And they reached out to me. They wanted to do a mural in the Palisades. They'd already done one in Altadena. And, we just walked all throughout the Palisades looking for a place where we could possibly do it, found a suitable spot. Most of the Palisades is all burnt down. So it's hard, really hard to see and shocking, especially if you've never seen it. It's still not open to residents. At my house, we still don't have water, power. It's been, God, how long, since the fires, January 7th, and now we're March, what is today? I don't even know. It's been a long time. Like I said, I came home and there was a notice on the door saying the water is clean to drink, but there is no water. So, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, I guess. But we found a spot. We did the mural in just, under a week. Brought community members in there to help paint, and folks who painted another mural down the way came out. That mural was painted like decades ago. So we had a real bridging of past and present, and young people came out and families came. And what was really cool is I was glad that, like, for people who hadn't been back to the Palisades yet, especially, young people and kids, that this gave them something, joyful and colorful and beautiful to see, as opposed to just, everything we lost. There were a lot of people at our event. We had a big community event where we celebrated the mural and did music. And there was a huge convoy of like massive trucks going down the highway, the street where the mural is. And we thought they were going to be gone by this time of day because they usually are. This was in the evening and they were still there. And so it was really noisy with all of them there. We're like, oh, this is kind of difficult. This is not what we expected. But then it was so cool because they all participated in celebrating the mural. They were all honking their horns and getting out and taking photos of the mural. And I mean, it was like they were part of it, which was so cool. I mean, these are people who are obviously like working hard to clean up all of this toxic debris and haul it away and all of this. So it was actually really an unexpected happy surprise that they were there later than expected, and they became kind of part of the whole process. So I've been getting so much positive feedback about the mural, and Molly is included on the mural, which was their idea, the Goodness Tour. They knew that the other mural at Theater Palisades had burned down and wanted to include Molly on this mural. And John at first didn't want to. You just, it's hard, it's not, we don't just want to put our daughter on everything, it's like we're putting ourselves out there. It's very vulnerable actually. And like the mural at Theater Palisades was set back and it was behind a fence. And this is just on a retaining wall, like right on the sidewalk. So people can just walk by and deface it. And, we weren't sure we wanted to, but ultimately the other muralist, Jules, who did the first mural, convinced us that we should. She was enthusiastic about it. And the coolest thing happened, you guys. So the kids go to this summer camp called Riverway. And I love the fact that it's in Sanger, which is right near Fresno, where I grew up. It's kind of a connection for my boys to kind of be in my neck of the woods. So Riverway sent me a package, and this had been in the works for a while. They were like, we're going to send you guys some stuff. And they were so generous. They sent like, a bunch of camp swag to the kids, which is so nice, like sweatshirts and backpacks and stuff. And then they're like, but we're sending you something else. And it's going to be coming in a strange box. It's a box of a dog crate because the person who's sending it is involved in animal rescue. And so she had this big box that contained an animal crate, and that's what it's coming in. So this box arrives, and the timing of this was just something. So I had been out at the mural all day, dealing, helping with the mural, and I was sort of the glue that kind of brought all the different pieces of the mural together. Like everybody who was kind of part of it was there for the most part because I brought them there. Similar to Molly, like I'm at my best when I'm sort of a connector, like when I'm bringing people together from different parts of my life and the community and all that. I love doing that. And that's kind of what I was doing here. So I've been doing that, and I came home and this dog crate box was there. I'm like, oh, that's from them. I wonder what they sent. And so I opened it up. The boys were here and they helped me, and they did. I actually wish I had it here. I'm going to have to show you later. I took it to our foundation offices. So it's a painting that one of the camp counselors did of the original mural that was at Theater Palisades. So they did like a mini replica of that mural. And the timing was just crazy because, of all things for like this camp to think of to give to us, it was such a beautiful, like touching, personal, heartfelt gesture. And of all the things and of all the times, like we hadn't been sure about whether Molly was going to be part of the mural. We had even like had her taken off the design. And then, like I said, we decided to put her on, and kind of John still wasn't sure and all of that. And then I came home and this painting was there, and I was like, wow, like what are the odds that right now, after working on this mural project all day, grappling with this decision about whether or not to include Molly, that I come home and there is a painting of her mural, like sent to me here in Venice. I mean, I just really felt like it was Molly saying to us, that she knows what's going on, that she was aware of the mural and that she likes it. The image of her on the mural is one that is more recent. Like it was a selfie that Molly took obviously of herself, not too long before she passed. So the other image, which we also loved at Theater Palisades, was when Molly was, quite a bit younger, in one of the plays there. So the picture that's up, the image that's up of her now actually looks more like her, as she was older. And I think she would like that. I think she would like, you know, being seen that way. So anyway, if you haven't checked out the mural yet, I hope you will. So the coolest thing at our offices, now we have a space to display all of the beautiful things people have sent us from all over the world. Molly has like a worldwide following. Team Molly is all over the globe. We have a map, I think I've shared with you, that someone, one of our supporters sent to us, such a beautiful gift. And we were able to go through and put pins on all the different countries all over the world where Molly, was prayed for, and people posted like messages of love and support. And it's literally the entire world is represented there. It's like, I don't know, over 150 different countries and territories and places. So we love that. So we have all kinds of things that people have sent us, paintings of Molly and just all sorts of stuff, that in our house, I wanted all of those things. Obviously, we all did. We wanted them all displayed because they were so beautiful and special to us. But it kind of turned the house, to be honest, like into a bit of a shrine for Molly. And it was sad, it was sad. And it was always a little, hard for the boys. Like we, especially Nate and Molly were always so competitive. And he's like, why does Molly have like, all these pictures everywhere? And we would, of course, have pictures of the boys and stuff, but like we just had so much related to her. And so having that in our foundation offices is amazing because we don't have to buy decor. We already have it, and it's all personalized and, special. And, it's found a beautiful space and home. So I can't wait to share all of that with you. And as I said, although I'm really depressed and feeling all the feelings about the federal government and what's taking place in Washington, I'm buoyed by the things that we're doing here. And I guess that's my suggestion, is taking action in your own local community, and really, where you have some agency, where you have the ability to make a difference, where you can actually kind of move the needle, like doing that. Nate decided to stay at his current school, which is on the UCLA campus, and we had kind of wanted him to go to a different one. He decided to stay here. I actually had a really good lunch with the head of school, and I, said, look, we're going to be here, and we're going to be part of, be the change that you want to see. Like, I need to get more involved. I need to do more and build more relationships there and be of service more there. I'd always been more focused on Marquez, on Eli's school, because it's an LAUSD public school that has less resources and all of that. But now I can shift my attention a bit over to Nate's school, and, be the change that I want to see. Like, it's on the UCLA campus. So it's, there have been some issues, obviously, in the past year and a half or so, since October 7th, that have been really concerning. And, we just, again, instead of leaving the space, instead of like kind of isolating ourselves, we're going to stay in the mix and hopefully have the conversations that might not always be simple or easy or comfortable, but I hope to have them. I hope to have lots of them here on this podcast. And I think we just need more of that. I saw last night, our governor, Gavin Newsom, was on Bill Maher. And, he's saying that too, right? Which is why he has a podcast and he's inviting all of these different people like Steve Bannon and all these people on there because he's saying like, we've got to talk to each other, which, I don't know if I have Steve Bannon, but like, I agree. We have to talk to each other. Like we can't just be in these silos and hope that things are going to get better. I agree with that. Although I did feel like our governor, he dodged so many of the questions, and I just think people see through it, like, for example, Bill Maher asked him about, and this is of interest to me because I'm from the Central Valley and my sister was here, like this high-speed rail that's going between Bakersfield and Merced, like, what is this? It's taking, first of all, forever. It's costing a ton of money. And who is going to use this? And he's right. Like my sister and I were discussing it. I was like, who the hell is going to go from Bakersfield to Merced? Like we need something from Southern California to Northern California, but like Bakersfield to Merced, I just don't see it. And the amount of money and work and, taking property by eminent domain even that's gone into this. And Bill Maher asked him like, well, what do you think? Like 3 people are going to use this. And he, instead of giving it a responsive explanation, like, okay, what is the intended population that's going to use this? How maybe people are going to be going from point A to point B to work, or what is this? Like, he gave a slick answer about like, well, we shouldn't. The people of the Central Valley are also important, and we can't look down on people and talk down on them and all of this. And it's like, okay, yeah, like nobody is. But like the question is, what is the purpose of this? Like, why are we doing this? Like, and the people from the Central Valley would, I think, tell you the same thing. So I don't know. I just think that until we have people who are willing and able to speak honestly, directly, authentically, and give an answer to a question that's a basic question. And there were lots of examples of that, of, like, I'm asked this question, but I want to give this answer, so I'm going to. And you see that in politics all the time. And I think maybe that's why a lot of people tune out, because it's all bullshit and they know it. Like, people are smart, even if they, as I said, I'm worried that we need to bring up our educational standards so that more people actually, our kids don't have low levels of literacy and basic, education. I mean, we definitely need to do that. But I also think people are intuitively smart about knowing when they're being bullshitted, and they've been bullshitted by so many people on both sides of the political spectrum for so long that they've just tuned out. And we've got to remedy that somehow. We've got to start talking in a way that people understand and relate to and don't feel offended by, which is hard because, people get offended so easily, which is why I really like bringing people together physically, because I just feel like that's another big part of the problem, that we're so isolated. And, obviously this really was part of the pandemic, and we haven't come back from it. People are still living in much more isolated digital worlds, So anyway, that's kind of the stuff I am thinking about. I wonder how you all are doing and what you're up to, and how you're keeping sane during what I think are these insane times. Or if you're a person who thinks this all is great. I often think like, wow, who looks at any of this and thinks this is like what they signed up for? Like, our economy is tanking, and I mean, my 401k is way down. I don't know about yours. These tariffs are just going to cause a recession. It's obviously clear that they're inflationary. Everyone knows that. And so it's like, I just don't get how even the people who voted for Trump are getting what they had in mind. I know a lot of people don't feel that they are. Social Security is on the chopping block, which I think is abhorrent. And I don't think that's what people had in mind when they voted for this administration. So I'm curious about all of this. So, let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love your feedback. And soon, once we're kind of set up, I'll be able to regularly come to you and again, bring on some guests. And, in the meantime, I'm just going to keep it going. As my friend Erin said, just don't stop. You started, don't stop. And that's what I'm going to do. Because there's never the perfect time. There's never the perfect circumstances. And you have to kind of just go for it and be okay with making mistakes or not being perfect and learning as you go and just kind of putting forth your best effort and just see what happens with it all. In the meantime, I continue to do a lot of work in the breast cancer world. And so I'm constantly reminded of how fragile our lives are and how brief our time here is and how uncertain it all is. And so while I'm also in knots over what's happening, I don't want to let that consume me. I don't want to tune out. I can't tune out. I'm not able to do that. But I also don't want to let it consume my energy and ruin the time that I have. So it's such a balance trying to figure out all of these things. So again, I'd love to hear how you all are managing it. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for coming back to commiserate with me. And I will see you again, hopefully sooner rather than later. Thank you for coming.